Welcome back to Out of the Rough. I'm joined by Robert Mansour. Robert Mansour is an attorney with the law offices of Robert M. Mansour. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Fred.
I want to take some time to talk about trusts and the importance of a trust in estate planning. Specifically, as a mortgage professional, I see so many customers that don't have their property or their properties in trust. Tell me about an estate planning.
Estate planning is nothing more than a legal toolbox that you can use, or your family can use, or your loved ones can use if something happens to you. If you can't handle your own affairs, the question is, now what? Okay, I'm in a coma, I'm sick, I'm at the hospital. Who's going to handle all of my affairs after you pass away? How is your stuff, your things, your belongings, your real estate, your accounts, everything else, how is that going to pass to other people? And in what manner? And who's going to be in charge of that? So I always tell people an estate plan is a legal toolbox. No matter how much money you have, 50 grand, $50 million, you need to have a plan. And so the trust is one of the documents in this particular toolbox.
And I see that being one of the ones I see the most in the real estate industry. But I want to touch upon one thing, and those that are watching this, I want to stress, it's something you might not want to talk about. It's something that's uncomfortable to talk about. It's something that you keep putting off.
Yep.
But it's something that's critical and relatively inexpensive for the value you get.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you think about what the cost might be at the back end if you do not plan, and then if you do plan, it's a bargain. But I must say that people do put it off because it's easy to put off.
What are the big four documents?
The big four documents, the hammer in the toolbox is the living trust.
Yes.
Other important documents are the will. People say, why do I need a will if I have a living trust? The will is a backup to your trust. So let's say something doesn't get into your trust. You forget to change title to that asset. And here you are in court, probate court. The will tells the judge to put everything into your trust, the Smith Family Trust or whatever. So it's a backup. If everything is properly titled, then you won't need the will.
And in the will, you can actually put specific requests that would be unusual, that would be different?
Well, that's actually a good place for it to put in your trust. Your trust would say, I want my vase to go to my cousin Johnny.
Okay, so you'd actually put it in the trust.
Yeah, you put it in the trust. The will is only a backup to the trust. That's all it does. And then there's two others. There's one called an Advanced Health Care Directive, which puts somebody in charge of your health care decisions if you cannot do it. Most people think that their spouse is automatically entitled to do that, and that is an incorrect assumption. Somebody has to have the legal authority to make sure to consent to surgery, to get your medical records, to move you from one facility to another, to the proverbial pull the plug. So this document allows that individual to do a lot of that. And if anybody else disagrees, you're not going to have a stalemate. You have somebody with the legal authority
to make decisions on your behalf if you can't make those decisions.
That's right.
And we've talked about car accidents where that decision, you might be eventually perfectly healthy and perfectly fine, but someone needs to make a decision right then and there.
Right. And sometimes that document comes in very handy, and that leads to the last document, the last of the four major big ones in the plan. It's called a durable power of attorney. Now, in that particular document, you are naming somebody to act on your behalf in virtually every other circumstance. They can talk to your lawyer, to your financial professional, to your loan person, to the HR department at your former employer. They can talk to the people managing your pension plan, your IRA, somebody to handle your credit cards. Who has the legal authority to act on your behalf if something happens to you? And so those are the big four documents that go into most plans.
And all this goes to avoiding probate. Give me a quick understanding of probate.
So here's the deal. My wife and I pass away. Our assets do not magically go to our children. There's no rainbow that comes from the sky and makes our house go to our kids. It has to happen somehow. How does it happen? Well, you know this. You're all about title and how homes are in title, etc. The house has to pass to my kids. So a judge has to get involved because my kids can't just go sell the house. It's not theirs. They don't own it. So a judge has to say, this is your house. These are your accounts. This is your money. That process is called the probate process.
Well, it sounds expensive.
It can be. It can cost up to 5% of the gross of the estate.
Gross.
The gross.
So if you have a house worth $700,000, even though there's a little bit of equity, 5% of $700,000 is a lot of money.
Sometimes people walk away because it doesn't make financial sense to go through the process. Plus, the mortgage payment is still due during that 1 or 2 years that you're in court. Who's going to pay that?
Yeah, and it does take some time. I know we're running out of time and we want to touch as much as we can, but last thing I want to touch upon with this, and that is children.
Yeah.
With 4 children myself, it was important because with life insurance and all the assets of the family, if something, God forbid, happened to my wife and I, there's a few, well, I shouldn't say that, but maybe there's somebody that wants to watch my children or look after my children for the wrong reason. Maybe there's someone in the family that we don't want to choose. We'd prefer this person over that person.
Yeah.
And that allows you to discuss where the children go.
You can name guardians for your children if they are minors. Plus, if they are minors, for example, my kids are 15 and 13 currently. My life insurance policy is not made payable to them. No way.
You don't want to give a 15-year-old.
No, because I know what he's going to do with the money. It's payable to the Mansour Family Trust.
Right.
And then my trustee manages the money for my kids, gives it to them at appropriate ages for appropriate reasons, for schooling, for any other appropriate reason, and the money stays safe. Plus, if it's in the trust, we can design it so that if my kids get a divorce, if they get into bankruptcy trouble, credit problems, that money is safe in the Mansour Family Trust, and my kids are not facing some kind of exposure or losing half of that money in a divorce or something like that. So you can protect the kids that way.
Important information, and I want to stress as we finish this segment is you can look for information online, but it's really critical that you go to a professional like Robert. Robert, how can those watching this online or on TV get a hold of you?
Well, I appreciate that. They can just go to my estate planning website, which is mansourlaw.com. My last name, M-A-N-S-O-U-R.
Mansour.
mansourlaw.com, and that's my website. Otherwise, they can just call the office, which is 661-414-7100.
Thank you. Thanks for all you do
Thank
for the
you,
community.
Fred.
Thanks for sharing this wealth of information in
my honor.
a short time frame.
Thank you very much, Fred.
Appreciate it. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to jump to a quick break, and we'll be right back.